accident at the corner, a man walking around with an AK-47 shooting all over the place.
Okay.
Corner of Richmond and Solon.
Richmond and Solon Road?
Yes. Still has a gun out.
In Solon, correct, ma'am?
Solon, on the Solon side. On Solon Road.
He's walking Richmond and Solon with an AK-47 shooting?
Correct. Or a large rifle like that, yes.
So the woman that made this call is just a random neighbor that happened to notice the accident. And the victim was a woman named Deborah Pearl. She was 53 years old. And the culprit is 29-year-old Matthew Ryan Deshay. And according to reports, this is what unfortunately happened. It was a Saturday morning and Deborah was on her way to work and Matthew was on his way home. Matthew ran a red light and hit Deborah, causing his vehicle to roll over. He then gets out of the vehicle with an AR-15 and said, "They killed my father," and proceeds to shoot Deborah 22 times. Now, Matthew and Deborah don't know each other. And remember when I said that Matthew was on his way home? Well, he actually wasn't. What he was doing was driving around looking for people he deemed to be the enemy and kill them. And before he shot Deborah, he saw several UFOs with flashing lights. And here's why he saw these things and why he did what he did. Matthew was on a psychotic drug called MDMA at the time of the incident. Not only that, but he also suffers from PTSD. He served in the Marine Corps from 2004 to 2008. He was deployed to Iraq twice during that time. And one neighbor said one thing that really bugged him was they got blown up and 5 of his buddies died and he lived. He was upset about that. Being on MDMA, owning a weapon, and suffering from PTSD is just a recipe for disaster. Okay, so for about 18 months since the murder happened, Matthew went through a series of psychological tests, and both the prosecution and the defense were in agreement that he is not competent to stand trial. In March 2019, Matthew was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He will spend life detained at North Coast Behavioral, what is called a civil confinement. Deborah's family agreed with the decision.
Deshay fired his AR-15 rifle a total of 22 times, missing 4 people, but hitting or grazing Pearl 6 times. One shot hit her in the head. In the 18 months since the murder, Deshay has gone through a battery of psychological tests. Both the prosecution and the defense were in agreement. He's not competent to stand trial.
When he went outside immediately prior to the incident, he saw several UFOs with flashing lights.
At the time of the murder, Deshay was high on a psychotic drug, MDMA, one abused for recreational use. But over time, his symptoms got only worse. The question was what to do with him. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He will spend life detained at North Coast Behavioral in what is called a civil confinement.